Trader.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. Happy Monday morning, TGIM. Where are we here? 22nd of April. Time's marching on. Of course, Americans, tax deadline was last Monday. Canadians, your tax deadline is basically next Monday. So better pay your taxes and all that goes. Dashboard's still a little bit ill right now. It is interesting. It looks like Stewart is bringing stuff slowly back online. Kind of interesting that we're getting a washed out signal on the S&P 500 breadth. I don't know whether this is updated or not, but I suppose actually tomorrow, Tuesday, we'll have Stewart back on the call. CTO Tuesdays, Panic Cook Tuesdays. So maybe we'll get an update on how the dashboard's rebuilding is going here, and hopefully we can get that back online and reporting soon enough. Today, kind of an interesting day. Of course, Monday is always fun out of the gate. Usually a little bit of shenanigans first thing Monday morning, a lot of position squaring. Remember, we had massive amount of options, was even putting tweets out. A lot of options expired in the money, especially put options, meaning that Wall Street was literally coming into the week here today, very heavy stock. So I don't think it should be a surprise to anybody that we saw a bit of selling in the stock market right out of the gate. Is this a good place to be shorting though? And, hopefully we'll have the dashboard online and we can start looking at breadth again soon. As I said, it is interesting to see this data print there. I don't know whether this is usable enough or not, but if we look at things like the ES chart, does it really make sense coming in and shorting the 50% level of this range for basically year to date? No. Does it make sense shorting below the 13 EMA? I don't think so. Does it make sense with the 13 EMA and the 30 SMA as bullish as they are to be thinking about shorting here? I get the impression right now we're probably sitting in a moving average sandwich for the next little while. 13 EMA is probably going to represent significant resistance to the upside. Keep in mind, this is a weekly price chart. And 30 SMA is probably going to represent support on the downside. The problem here is that you, at any given point in time, should expect counter trend rallies, especially if we look at things like the lower time frame chart. This does not look like the place we want to be thinking about shorting. So we always say our rule around TRI is, of course, we want to follow the first stop target, good old Ray Burchett. People in the past used to like to call him Ray Barbecue, regardless of your bent. I'm trying to get this to line up here. Of course, it almost never does when you're trying to do this stuff on the fly. So if we think Colin and his pump chasers, in this case, dump chasers, 50% level up to 38.2s. This should be sort of your dead cat bounce window. And you can see on the ES alone, we could work our way back up to 5,100, no problem. And ironically enough, yeah, if we actually look, you see where the market structure failure level is. Really, I suppose we've been emming out the whole way down here. First one's way up top here at 52. Next one's at 51.90, and here we are way down here. If anything, pump chaser zone 38.2 to 50%. I wouldn't be surprised people that missed that bull run. They're probably in there scoping out whether they can sneak in on the long side on a lot of these names. Having said that, this isn't really the best time of year to get too aggressive on the long side. And probably going to need to take some time to clean all of this up here through the spring. If we look at the actual price action itself on just an intraday basis, it is interesting. It is Monday, so not a bad idea. Check in with World Hegemony, what the hell it's doing. Still see this ABCD target up top. In fact, actually, there's a couple of them. This ABCD and this ABCD. Both of these still have not been traded to. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit more uppy to go here in the US dollar index. For the time being, I would say that we're stuck in a trading range. You can see top end of the range, bottom end of the range. Not really that big of a surprise. Ironically enough, actually, Bitcoin looks very similar to this, but I don't know whether that's an accident or on purpose. So no real breakdown yet in the US dollar index. And my hunch here would be that that would be a massive sort of risk on bet that, well, maybe the Fed's officially going to be backing away from their aggressive interest rate hikes. I don't know. That's a tough one. And they want to sort of stimulate the world economy and stimulate growth. So they're going to lower interest rates. Did see that the euro kind of looking a little toppy here today. Actually, starting off our day, of course, always good idea to do some affirmations. I think number two, I think we already did number one previously. And I kind of like to just read these out to you guys as a reminder to myself, and also sort of just a simple reiteration to the public what we do, what we're all about, what we do at TRI. So affirmation number two for your Monday morning here. At TRI, we transcend the flashy allure of superficial wealth. We're not big on gold stakes, and you can see, I'll be lucky if I can get a razor across my beard in the morning. I champion true financial independence. I like that. I mean, ideally, the information that we're here to impart on you, teach you the process. And the process, if done correctly, it can literally change your life and do things like, give you the opportunity to, I know one of our site members actually paid for the adoption of a child with the money that they made through the education program. I mean, you never know what the heck the capital could be used for in real life, but things like Lambos and stuff like that, that's not really us. So, but the information that will impart on you, it could literally change your life. So anyway, there's your affirmation for today. Starting out first thing this morning, of course, I always like to pop in and just see if there's any market structure shifts going on. I think actually there was a really cute little short trade here on the ES this morning. Had a nice failure of higher highs and higher lows. Then a beautiful failure right at reload zone level that set up a pretty nice short coming into the retail session today. As I said, Wall Street went out on Friday, very, very heavy stock. That wasn't really what I was most interested in. I will say there was a really pretty sort of, similar concept, higher highs and higher lows. That was broken on this dump here. And this happened, I guess, where are we here? That was on Friday even. So they worked the market back up here into Sunday, into Mountain Man levels, and then put in just the prettiest top, which I actually think corresponded well with that stock market top on the euro, and it just dumped beautifully here this morning. So I do think there was a pretty nice short trade there on the euro. But of course, if I'm short euro, then I'm probably thinking long US dollars. Interesting too, basically as of the retail open, that trade was finished, and now actually Miss Lagarde over there in Europe is chit-chatting away about what a wonderful job lawyers are doing as bankers these days. I wonder if she's teaching people numerology these days. That was always funny to watch her do that. So interesting how that got developed. And then also too this morning, and this was just so pretty. We were having a lot of fun in the day trader room. As you can see, it's basically the same concept. Market was making lower highs and lower lows. Market rallied up substantially and broke this previous structure. So at that point, I throw on my reload zones and I'm like, where can I get long off of the bottom end of this range? And first thing this morning, actually, we were watching this very, very closely. This was an interesting back and forth because the opening range trade people actually did have, I mean, they're always going to have a setup fired. It was a really big one, 30 plus ticks. So really not kind of my temperament. It did go to its 2-to-1, at least 1-to-1 objective to take partial profits. But what was interesting was I really liked this ICT Mountain Man long setup coming in, trying to buy against the bottom end of the range here. So I went into sort of laser beam focus here first thing this morning, see if I could sneak my way in. I thought I had a nice Adam and Eve setup here to get long, but they had one more FU. I like to risk against these lows, so that really didn't bother me too much. And then one of our OGs in the day trader room, Craig, he came in and he had his setup, his Craig FU setup. It was a great setup. And he was sniping this market off the bottom, and then we just rode it up through most of the morning here. It was a fantastic trade, absolutely textbook. So interesting because this does actually, if we look at like higher time frames, this actually suggests that crude wants to go substantially higher. Which is a little bit scary, and I suppose that might be one reason why the stock market's not overly happy right now. Where's the best place to show you that? Yeah, I suppose just even off of this. So there was that trade, just buying against the bottom end of range, taking some nice profits on the way up. But this is a huge double bottom here now. So as a result, if we just take whatever the lowest low is here and do our Foggenbaums heading up, Jesus, this crude market's suggesting it wants to go right back up top. So, don't be surprised if we see higher crude prices down the road. Actually, the one thing that surprised me today when I was looking at the board was seeing how the gold market actually was coming off here. Both gold and silver. And actually, interesting enough, I'm having a conversation with some silver bugs later this afternoon, so that should be an interesting convo with them. And I did talk to you guys about how I found an interesting little gold stock that I wanted to buy. And I actually did go and pull the trigger. I threw in a nice little double bottom here, huge gap. So I wouldn't be surprised over the next maybe couple months or so. We actually find that this market works its way back down, fills in these gaps, maybe even might even trade to new lows. I doubt it. But this is the one that I was telling you, the gentleman who actually founded Gold Corp, he went and plunked $1 million of his own money into this thing at like 40 cents. So if I can sneak in here lower than where he is long, and he's in this thing, like I said, at around 40, that's up in this area here. When they did the rollback, they did a big financing. And I saw this double bottom and I said, what the hell, I'll throw in a stink bid to buy some at this 29 level. So I did go and actually buy some here this morning. And I'll look to buy some more on any kind of dip down against the low. You can see I wrote 5,000 at 26 was $1,300. I think you could argue that, well, not argue. What I did was I did 2,500 at 29 just to get the ball rolling. So I mean, not a hell of a lot of money. I think this was like $750 or something like that. So I've got a little bit on the books now from the double bottom breakout level, and I'll look to add to this as we move forward down at these gaps. I'll buy some more on gap fills, and if anything, I want the gold price to come down so I can get those fills down below. So anyway, did a little bit of buying there. I like this stock. I like Rob McEwen. I think he's pretty darn smart, and I like the share structure. And I like this story about this stock. It's sort of like these guys, they're situated in a very friendly part of the British Columbia mining district. And I think on balance, there's money to be made here. I mean, you see how far this thing has fallen. Any kind of dead cat bounce now for me back into the 60 cent area. And this is very typical of crypto. And I'll basically get my double. So half on a double, get some free stock and move on from there. So not really much econ wise. I think more importantly, what's happened here is a whole bunch of options expired in the money. And Wall Street is in the process of squaring up their books right now. And I don't necessarily have a sell signal here. Don't really necessarily have a buy signal. If anything, yeah, thank you, Chris. What we probably want to do is just let this settle down a little bit, maybe paint a nice big fat W. Right now on the dailies, there isn't much to do here. It's kind of in like no man's land. So that's sort of my prognostication for the stock market. You can see on a daily basis, we're just painting an inside bar here. You saw off the lower time frames, that was just a nice little triangle forming. Supposed to wind up this free broadcast for the public. Might as well pop on over, take a look at good old crypto. Crypto tastes great. Big old tail off of that dump that we had through the weekend. Halvening event is now done. I get the impression that the futures people came back. Actually, pretty nice looking long setup there off the lower time frames for the futures people. Interesting off of this futures contract. We still have this short working from way up top. Interesting. That's not showing on here now. Anyway, you know that I do those little metric things. Is the Bitcoin cash market one? Nope, that one also is not showing. Anyway, I have to go in and change my settings later on. There's the cash one there. And the stop after the initial profit level was hit, the stop was moved to scratch, and the stop just sit there at scratch. This bull flag that we saw develop following the halvening event, you can see the bot entry level there. Put out some tweets and sort of talking on the site. We had like bull bear battle lines drawn. If we had gone through these lows, then I think the bear would have taken over, and down we go. The bull took over, up we go. Spent actually most of the time while I was out with Liam just not really doing much. I think they were probably waiting for permission to move this thing higher, i.e. the futures guys wanted to be able to get in on the trade. And so, the futures markets here, you can see they opened up with a funny gap, a lot of shenanigans back and forth. But if you wanted to put this trade on, one low, two lows, three lows, I think on balance, that was a relatively respectable long level. Nothing wrong with that. Move stop to scratch level has not been hit yet. So I do find that interesting. The volatility of the market is definitely coming out. You can really feel it. It's interesting how off of this double bottom, we have 2.618 just floating out just a little bit above us. And also two trend lines off of the original top here. That high right there. And this should be off of that high there. I don't know whether that's a higher high or not. Let's see. 71,795, 71,8. Nope. So that is not a higher high. I beg your pardon. 71,795. Nice try, Brian. 71,815. It is a higher high. All right. So actually, there's your trend line. All right. Well, we're nowhere near there, so we don't have to worry about that for the time being. If anything, actually, this makes sense because there is the bot objective. I do think we're going to run into a bit of traffic here at 2.618. It's interesting how that is against that high. And that's your move stop to scratch on this. And, if we do bump into this level here and she just can't punch through, then you see how deep this, you could even argue this might even be a potential head and shoulders. And we might have to come all the way right back down to the original bot entry stop there. So, let's see what happens here in the short term. It does look to me like I think the broader stock market's catching a bit of a bid here now. Yeah, things are moving up. Bonds are actually relatively happy, which is interesting. That does surprise me a little bit here this morning. But having said that, stocks catching a bit of a bid. Crypto looking a little heavy earlier this morning, but looks like she's catching a bit of a bid now. So let's see if those bot setups can play themselves out. And, in the broader context of what's going on here in crypto, been, basically saying the same message all along here. I get the feeling that once we've done the halvening, we're probably in a period now where we don't really do a hell of a lot. It is interesting to see that on the other side of the halvening, this was the 15-16 cycle. Market did catch a bit of a bid coming back into resistance, and then we sort of waffle up, down, up, down, up, down. Yeah, for probably the better part of a week or two. So that's basically what I'm expecting. And I wouldn't be surprised if these shorts with stops at scratch on the trailing positions. I wouldn't be surprised if they're stopped out, to be honest with you. So if you're a lower time frame trader, I think you got a half decent little long working here. The upside objectives, probably off of that futures chart, is probably the best way to look at this. Upside objectives on the futures, 69 and change, maybe even tag the big fat round number at 70. Having said that, once we get up into that, it's interesting how I adjusted that trend line. Once we get up into that area, things are going to look a little bit challenging. And of course, if we get any kind of market structure failure, I'm surprised we haven't had the move stop the scratch level yet. That should get hit, especially with this 2.618 right there. But any kind of market structure failure here, keep in mind, this was basically straight up. We could very easily come back. It looks to me like sort of support for this market is this trend line, which of course takes us back to this trend line. So you can see support's down in this area. And remember, we talked about, is this a potential inverted head and shoulders? If it is, and this is legit, then that means this becomes a major battle point going forward, that level right there. So keep your eyes peeled. As for the broader crypto market, we were watching this rune yesterday. Somebody had asked about this. It looks like the down move broke bearish market structure, so that's always good. Is abated for the time being. If anything, what I would be suggesting now, kind of like that ICT setup kind of guy, is if the bearish structure is broken, and really, where was the bearish structure last broken? I mean, this high right here, I think represents a pretty important pivot. So boom, they broke that. That means we want to draw our fibs, reload zones, candle body lows for trade location, wicks and tails like to be eaten. There's a bunch of trap bears right down in there. If we could get a pullback on a name like this back to this trend line, mountain man tag, any kind of buy setup right down in this area, I think actually is very attractive. Don't know whether I can get too excited about coming in on the long side here. You can see the noticeable divergence, Willie stupid. So if anything, I'm looking for that pullback at least to the 50% level here. And then finally, if we want to pop on over, take a look at some poop coins, what's going on in that space. Chris was telling me that this panda seems to be pretty popular again. I get the impression that I think the last time we talked about this, it was up in this area, and I was kind of like, draw your reload zones. You see where the original market structure is. Sure enough, she had to work her way right back down into, in fact, even went beyond. And quite often, this is actually a really good analogy for all of you. When it comes to venture cap, a lot of the times we don't have correct, just like Mountain Man 78.6. A lot of times we have to go all the way down to like 88.6. I think I have that on here somewhere. 0.886. So that actually looks to me like that was the floor there, right? Especially that low there. So, we sometimes call the 78.6 to 88.6 the venture cap reload zone. It often works as a really great level. I don't think I could justify coming in on the buy side here, but if you wanted to snipe this thing, there's no reason why you can't drill down to, like, say, a lower time frame chart and then just simply repeat the process. Where is my reload zone? And I've often told you guys that if we can get reload zones within, So, oh my God, that was super sexy. So this is like venture cap reload zone within venture cap reload zone. That would be this double sort of purple area down in here. And of course, that's the original market structure. Do we call that the Sacramento slap? I don't know. But anyway, shake it. If I was interested in buying this thing, working stink bids down in this area is not a terrible idea. And keep in mind, right? We're coming at this from a risk first approach. If I just come in and buy up here, I literally have to, if I'm trading this, especially, I have to be able to risk against these lows. I would much rather try and sneak my way in down here and risk against those lows, a hell of a lot less risk. So, yeah, if you are interested in this panda, that's probably the area I would be trying to focus in on. All right, there's your summary for Monday morning. Slow and steady wins the race. PMA for the win. All the best, and we'll head on over to the after party. Maybe do a little bit of Q&A with the audience. All right, all the best, and bye for now.